My sister destroyed my relationship just because she couldn't have the man she'd idealized for years. So I decided she'd watch him fall in love with me instead. Ever since Chloe turned 21, she's used the same tired excuse to justify her toxic behavior. Since I lost my true love, I can't help how I act. But it wasn't grief, it was sabotage. She made it her mission to ruin other people's happiness, hiding behind a delusion she called a heartbreak. Her so-called soulmate was a guy named Landon she hooked up with once at a college party 4 years ago. He never contacted her again. And yet, that fleeting encounter became her lifelong excuse to manipulate and destroy. It started with Brittany, her best friend since kindergarten. One weekend Chloe stayed over at her place, and by Monday Brittany's boyfriend was texting Chloe good morning. When Brittany caught them in her own bed, Chloe actually said, "You don't understand what it's like to lose your forever person." Brittany cut her off immediately. Then came our cousin's engagement party. Chloe showed up in a dress worth more than my rent, drank too much wine, and cornered the groom in the bathroom. He told everyone she'd whispered to him, "You remind me of someone I used to love." Thankfully, he shut her down and told his fiancée right away. But Chloe ran to our parents in tears, claiming happy couples triggered her trauma. My mom's response? A weekend at a luxury spa. By the time I met Jake, I knew exactly how my sister operated. I kept him far from family events, removed her from my social media, and told Jake that Chloe was going through personal issues and needed distance. It worked. For 2 full years she stayed away. Jake proposed last spring, and we planned a small, intimate wedding with just close friends. But then I made one mistake. At our mother's birthday dinner, I mentioned the engagement. Chloe's eyes lit up like she'd been waiting for that moment. She smiled sweetly and hugged me. "I'm so thrilled for you," she said. "When can I meet him?" A week later, Jake laughed while showing me his phone. Chloe had made a fake Instagram account to message him. We read her cringy DMs together, mocking her attempts. He blocked the account. I thought that was the end of it. Then, 3 weeks before the wedding, I got the flu badly. Jake was supposed to go to his brother's golf tournament. But my friend who lived near Chloe texted me, confused. "Are you at your sister's?" I just saw Jake's car outside. Despite my fever, I got in my car and drove to Chloe's. I still had the spare key from years ago. I let myself in, and found them on the couch half-dressed. Her head in his lap, his fingers in her hair. She looked up at me with fake tears forming and whispered, "I'm so sorry. He just reminds me so much of Landon." I walked out. Jake didn't chase me. He didn't even try. That's when I decided Chloe needed to understand what real loss feels like. Landon wasn't some mystery man. We'd followed each other on Instagram for years, had mutual college friends, liked each other's posts, but never really talked. He lived 3 hours away, worked as a physical therapist, and posted cute videos of his golden retriever. So I sent a message. "Hey, this might sound strange, but my sister was obsessed with you in college and just sabotaged my wedding. Want to help me return the favor?" He replied within minutes. "Chloe, the girl who visited my mom? Count me in." Turns out, Chloe once drove to his hometown, introduced herself to Landon's mother as an old friend, and told her some fantasy about their great lost love. His mom believed it, invited her for tea, even took selfies. Chloe proudly posted them, captioning, "Reunited with my future mother-in-law." Landon told me everything. Screenshots, voice notes, even a video of his mom apologizing for the misunderstanding. That's when I realized Chloe wouldn't stop. She didn't understand love, only obsession and control. But this time she miscalculated both my determination and Landon's willingness to help. We planned it perfectly. Landon would come with me to our family lunch. I knew Chloe would be there. It was Dad's birthday, and she never missed a chance to perform perfect daughter. So I arrived hand in hand with Landon, smiling, laughing, exactly the way Chloe had once dreamed it would be. And the second I picked him up from the bus station, I knew. He was charming, funny, effortlessly confident. Exactly the kind of man Chloe couldn't manipulate. And he knew it. In the car, Landon and I rehearsed exactly what we'd say, syncing our story and gestures to perfection. By 1 o'clock sharp that Saturday, we pulled up outside my parents' house. I stepped out confidently in a stylish new dress, high heels clicking against the pavement, a relaxed smile on my lips. Landon took my hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. When Chloe saw us walk into the living room, right as she was laughing with our uncle, her expression froze. The joy drained from her face instantly. "Everyone," I said casually as if nothing were unusual, "meet Landon." The second she heard his name, Chloe turned pale, then flushed crimson, forcing a tight, awkward smile. "Landon," she echoed. "Wow, what a funny coincidence." He offered a polite nod. "Nice to see you again, Chloe." Those 7 words shattered her entire performance. She stammered, clearly thrown off, but I ignored her, already snapping selfies and posting Instagram stories beside Landon. Every gesture between us was a direct hit to her pride. During lunch, she kept trying to start conversations with him, rambling about imaginary college memories. But Landon never wavered. He focused entirely on me, speaking gently, slipping his arm around my shoulder, leaning in close. Every little touch made Chloe visibly tense. Her lips tightened, her eyes narrowed. After the birthday toast, she couldn't hold it in any longer. She locked herself in the bathroom. I followed, knocking steadily until she cracked the door open. "What do you want?" she snapped, mascara smudged, eyes shining with rage and desperation. "Just checking in," I said sweetly. "Must be hard seeing your soulmate with your sister." "You're doing this to hurt me," she shouted. "And you wrecked my engagement because you couldn't stand to see me happy," I shot back. "This isn't revenge, Chloe, it's justice." "He belonged to me," she shrieked, pounding the wall. "I saw him first. I felt it first." "No," I said firmly. "You met him once. He never wanted you. You built a fantasy to excuse the way you ruin people's lives. And now you're going to watch him adore me because, unlike you, I never had to beg." She collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Mom knocked softly a few seconds later. I opened the door calmly and returned to the living room. Landon kissed my forehead and whispered, "She's coming undone. You ready?" I smiled. I've never been more ready. The fallout came quickly. Mom called the next morning, pleading for empathy. Chloe had cried all night, she said. She was fragile. I'd gone too far. Too far. I scoffed. You think showing up with my boyfriend is crossing a line? Or is it that Chloe can't handle not being the center of attention? Mom sighed. Your sister's heart is delicate. She forms attachments too easily. Delicate? I snapped. She slept with my fiancé while I was sick. And you're still worried about her feelings? Let's talk another time. She hung up in silence. That was the moment I understood. No one in my family would ever hold Chloe accountable. She'd always been treated like fragile glass when in truth she was a hidden blade. Sharp, destructive, and finally aimed at herself. Landon was still in town that Monday, so I invited him to brunch with friends who knew Chloe's history. He charmed everyone, warm, witty, devoted to me. My friends exchanged knowing smiles. Some whispered that this was the most elegant revenge they'd ever seen. Later that day, Landon posted a photo of us hugging in a sunny park with the simple caption, "Sometimes love surprises you." At first, it drew quiet attention, likes from cousins and classmates. Then Chloe commented from her alternate account at kmia.soulmate. "This is disgusting. You know what he meant to me." Landon liked the comment and coolly replied, "Chloe, we hooked up once. You followed me around campus afterward. That wasn't love. It was obsession." Within minutes, the post exploded. Old acquaintances chimed in with comments like, "Finally someone said it." She needed that reality check. Chloe tried posting a dramatic response. I replied simply, "I'm just showing what healing looks like, something you've never understood." Chloe posted a teary-eyed selfie, puffy face, red eyes, soft bedroom lighting designed to look tragic. The caption? "It's unbearable watching your own sister take the man you love, mock your pain, and get celebrated for it. I'm not perfect, but no one deserves this." It racked up over 1,000 likes. The comments poured in. "Stay strong. Sending love. You'll get through this." What stung the most? A few people I considered close reshared it. The next morning, I drove to my parents' house. Mom answered the door startled. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I'm here to talk." "I want the whole family present," I replied. Chloe came downstairs like she was arriving at her own funeral. Baggy sweats, messy ponytail, and that signature, "I'm the victim," face she wore like it was designer. "Something wrong?" she asked softly, fake innocence coating her words. "Yeah," I said flatly. "Something's wrong. I'm done letting you twist everything and walk away like the wounded little angel." I stepped into the living room, turned to face them all. "Mom. Dad. Did you see her post? Is this seriously what we're doing now? Do you think that's fair? Do you remember whose engagement she destroyed? Sweetheart, this isn't the way Mom started. No, I cut her off. You're going to hear me out. I turned to Chloe. You went after Jake. Manipulated him behind my back. Then you cried fake tears and still expected to be the family favorite. I stepped closer. But now look at you. You're the one crumpled on the floor crying. And this time? No one's coming to rescue you. No filtered sob story selfie is going to erase the screenshots, the audio, the messages people have seen. They know. Everyone knows. The act is over. Chloe stayed silent. Just sniffled. Dad couldn't even meet my eyes. He stared at the carpet like it might swallow him whole. I'm done being the forgotten daughter while she puts on performances for applause, I said. Enough. I'm taking the spotlight now. And guess what? The crowd's already cheering. I walked out without waiting for a response. In the car, Landon had the radio playing low and a coffee waiting for me in the cup holder. So, he asked. It was perfect, I smiled. She finally realized she doesn't control the story anymore. He chuckled. Honestly? Getting back at her feels more healing than I expected. And you want to know the best part? I said, buckling in. This was just the first act. There's more, he asked. Oh yeah. Part 2 started with an invitation. It was the grand opening of my friend Jordan's new restaurant. He's a well-known chef, big on social media, always surrounded by influencers. Right up Chloe's alley. She lived for those kinds of events. Always faked a glamorous lifestyle, snapped mirror selfies in designer boutiques, ordered overpriced food just to photograph it before sending it back. It was all curated illusion. But this time, she wasn't invited. I was. And Landon was on the guest list too. We arrived looking the part. One of the photographers at the entrance even stopped us to take a few shots. The next day, we were featured on a local event page with the caption, Haley and Landon steal the spotlight as the couple of the evening. Chloe saw it the next morning. Of course she did. Like clockwork, she posted one of her passive-aggressive stories. Some people need attention to feel alive. I prefer depth. Depth from the same girl who threw herself into my fiancé's lap 3 weeks before our wedding? The same girl now crying online over a man she barely knew, who's now my boyfriend. That Saturday, we had another event. Our cousin Savannah's wedding. Chloe and Savannah had always been close, so I'm sure she assumed Savannah would tell me not to bring Landon. But instead, Savannah called me herself. Haley, please come. Bring Landon too. Everyone knows what Chloe did. I'm done tiptoeing around her feelings. She needs to learn the world doesn't revolve around her. Chloe came anyway. Alone. Wearing a dress a size too small, makeup flawless, smile tight. She didn't even acknowledge us when we walked in. Landon wrapped his arm around my waist, kissed my cheek every now and then. All she could do was pretend not to notice. The real cherry on top came during the bride and groom's first dance. Savannah gave us a subtle nod, inviting us to join. So Landon and I stepped onto the dance floor, spinning together under the lights. That's when Chloe made her move. And for the first time, she looked unsure. Landon, can I talk to you? She asked, using the voice that usually got her whatever she wanted. He gently let go of my hand, turned to her, and said, completely calm, No. I'm busy loving your sister. Chloe froze. I looked her dead in the eye and added, And for the first time in a long time, I'm actually being loved the right way. Something you never understood because you've always mistaken attention for love. She stepped back, eyes glassy, tripped over the hem of her dress. And not a single person laughed. It actually got worse for Chloe after that. Everyone just ignored her. And somehow that hurt her more than any confrontation ever could. She slipped out of the reception hall not long after. Meanwhile, I stayed on that dance floor smiling, swaying. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I'd truly come out on top. But the best moment? That was still ahead. A few weeks later, I was invited to be a guest on a podcast, something about healing and fresh starts. I didn't name names. But I told the story. The manipulative sister, the cheating fiancé, the revenge that felt cinematic, and the unexpected twist, finding real love in the middle of it all. The episode went viral. Messages poured in from across the country. People thanked me, said they felt seen. Some even shared their own stories. And Chloe? She definitely listened. I knew at the moment she'd met me that same day. Do you really have to air all this just to get applause? I didn't hesitate. This isn't for applause. It's for freedom. I lived under your spotlight for years. Now the story belongs to me. And so does the stage. She never replied. Not long after, I started hearing whispers. Chloe was pulling away from everyone. A brand she'd been chasing for months stopped answering her emails. People started talking. About her obsession with Landon. About the act finally crumbling. Her carefully curated image, filtered selfies, cryptic poetic captions began to crack. And I didn't have to do a thing. She unraveled on her own. As for me, I moved forward. Landon was no longer just part of the plan. Somewhere between the chaos and the healing, he became a safe place. A place I hadn't even known I needed. He started out as a partner in revenge. But now, he was my partner in peace. Every single day I noticed it more. Everything Chloe tried to tear down had only made me stronger. And her? The girl who manipulated her way to the top? Now she had nothing but silence. The moment I realized I hadn't thought about Jake in weeks came one ordinary morning. The sun poured through my windows. Landon was in the kitchen shirtless making pancakes. He did that a lot. Ever since that first week he stayed over. He'd hum cheesy early 2000 songs and dance like a complete goofball, always making me laugh no matter my mood. And in that moment, watching him flip pancakes like it was the most natural thing in the world, I realized Jake was just a memory, a dusty shadow compared to this real present love. It was in the way Landon looked at me when I was lost in a book, or how he took me to that cozy little restaurant that had just opened. Not fancy, just warm and full of light. We sat down and he looked at me and said, "Isn't it funny? This all started just to mess with your sister, but I never really felt like I was pretending." I smiled a little shy. Me neither. He clinked his glass to mine. And for once I wasn't looking for validation. I wasn't hoping someone would see me. I was already seen. A few days later we were walking downtown when I saw Jake. He was alone. Head down. Looked like the weight of everything was pressing on his shoulders. I turned away. Not out of pain, just because he didn't matter anymore. He spotted me. Paused. Maybe he wanted to say something. But then Landon appeared beside me, slipped his hand into mine. Jake stopped and backed off. Maybe in that moment he understood. His place in my life was gone. The space he trashed with betrayal now belonged to someone who gave me everything, without taking anything in return. That night, curled up beside Landon, I hugged him a little tighter. Whispered without thinking, "Thank you for showing up." He smiled. That calm, steady smile that said everything, without needing a single word. Revenge gave me closure. But what came after? That gave me love. Months passed. What began as a twist in a petty game unraveled into the most honest, unexpected chapter of my life. Landon wasn't part of the plan anymore. He wasn't a symbol. Or a strategy. He was home. My person. The one who shared my quiet mornings and my loudest laughs. Most nights we'd fall asleep beside each other, sometimes at my place, sometimes at his. His golden retriever always climbed between us, like a furry guardian of this new life we'd built. And then, on a totally ordinary night, couch pajamas nowhere to be, he turned to me and asked, simple and sure, "Will you be my girlfriend?" I didn't even need to answer. The look in my eyes said it all. We were eating pizza straight out of the box, parked on the couch, watching some silly documentary about sea creatures. He looked over at me, pizza box balanced on his knees, and grinned. "Do you think it's too early for this?" he asked. Then after a second he added, "Or maybe, we're already late?" I laughed. Honestly, I think we've already survived things that couples married for 20 years haven't even faced. He nodded, smiling. "So, it's just a label," I said, smiling back. "But yeah, I'm in." And from that moment on, that was it. No more mentions of Chloe. She vanished from our conversations like a chapter we'd finally finished. She disappeared from socials too. Went silent. Blocked Landon everywhere, even though he never reached out. Word got around that she was telling people I'd ruined her life. That I stole her soulmate just to torment her with something she could never have. Of course, she never mentioned that she destroyed my engagement first. But honestly, I didn't care anymore. First I thought I would. I assumed it'd eat at me that she never took responsibility. That I'd be waiting for an apology that was never coming. But the truth? Letting go of the need for her approval, it felt like freedom. That, right there, was the greatest gift in all this chaos. She didn't forgive me, didn't show up for my birthday, didn't answer Mom's messages about Christmas. She stayed distant, bitter, angry. And me? I moved forward. Landon and I took a weekend trip to the countryside. I officially met his mom this time, helped him paint the walls in his new clinic. I learned how to be part of something steady, something real. I stopped chasing closure from the wrong people and started making peace with where I stood, with who stood beside me. And Landon? He wasn't a tool anymore. He wasn't part of a plan. He was my peace, my partner, my soft place to land. That chapter ended. But my life? It was just getting started. I used to think closure was a conversation, an apology, a reckoning, something you could hold in your hands and say, see? Now it's finished. But closure was quieter than that. It wasn't something I got. It was something I gave myself. Not because they made it right, but because I finally stopped waiting for them to. Landon and I built something slow and sacred. There were no grand gestures, no fireworks. Just late-night grocery runs, mismatched socks, forehead kisses before work. The kind of ordinary that felt like a miracle after years of chaos. He still made pancakes on Sundays, still danced badly in the kitchen, still looked at me like I was his favorite story. And for once, I wasn't bracing for the twist. We didn't need revenge anymore. We didn't need validation. We had something better. Peace. And the quiet kind of love that doesn't need to shout to be real. One evening we sat on the couch watching some show we weren't really paying attention to. My head was on his shoulder. His fingers traced slow circles on my arm. Out of nowhere he whispered, "Did you ever think this would be your life?" I smiled into his hoodie. "No. But I'm so glad it is." He kissed the top of my head and I swear, that small silent moment felt louder than any applause I'd ever chased. I used to want closure from the people who broke me. Now, I have something better. A life I don't need to explain. A love I don't need to question. And a version of myself that I finally recognize. Not the girl who was betrayed. Not the girl who fought back. But the woman who made peace. And stayed.